want to tell you about Marcion in 3 minutes. So, if you've spent any time studying the origins of Christianity or the New Testament, you probably have heard of Marcion. Now, there's actually a lot of misunderstanding and I would say even misinformation about Marcion. So, I'm going to tell you three important things in 3 minutes. The first thing to know is that we have none of his writings. We don't know what he actually said, and therefore we don't exactly know what he thought. That is contrary to a long tradition of particularly biblical scholars telling us that they know exactly what Marcion thought when they don't know that. The second thing to know is, and this is aptly summarized in the title of this book, Marcion, The Making of a Heretic, by Judith Liu, about 10 years old. She charts the history of the portrayal of Marcion by the early church fathers, and it evolves over time, and he becomes more and more of a monster, right? So Marcion is the original, sort of the earliest of the great heretics. He was the most written about, kind of like the Martin Luther of his time, uh, and originally not hated all that much by Christian authors, but over time hated more and more. And particularly that began with Irenaeus and Tertullian, but culminated with a guy named Epiphanius. Now, so the important thing to understand is that the Western Christian Catholic Protestant view of Marcion is that he's this evil, terrible guy who promoted heresy. Okay, setting that aside, it's just really important to know we don't know what he thought, and we know that he's the terrible heretic according to Christian tradition. But what's so exciting about the scholarship of the last generation, basically in my lifetime, now people knew this earlier, but they didn't want to think about it. But in recent decades, there's been some amazing scholarship, basically reconstructing not his writings, but his original Bible. So the earliest Christian Bible that we have, that we know of, that we can construct, is the scriptural canon of Marcion. So we sometimes call it the Marcionite Bible or the Marcionite New Testament. Um, it consisted of one gospel and 10 letters of Paul, and that was it. And there's a lot more to say about that. But what I want to get at in particular, right, in these last few seconds, is that this is like the fossil record of the Christian Bible. This really is the earlier original Christian scripture that we have. All bullshit aside, you can tell if you study this stuff that this is the original scripture.